I like Wonder Girls book because first I thought that girls can't do anything, but after reading whole Wonder Girls book I changed my mind, and in the first Didi gave us Wonder Girls book, but I and my friends thought that why the girls of the book of only girls, why not book of only boys? But after reading that book I changed my mind, and I am so inspired by that book, and thank you Varsha Didi for writing that book. Thank you.
My name is Soumya. I run iTeach schools. I am an engineer by training, and then moved to the education space about 7 years ago. I did my Teach for India fellowship in Pune, so taught for 2 years, and then founded iTeach. iTeach is a charter school network. We run 6 schools in Pune city. Free high quality schools for the lowest income students in Pune. I was connected to Wonder Girls through Shaheen, who is the founder of Teach for India. The author of Wonder Girls, Varsha, had written to Teach for India, and then Shaheen had connected us saying this might be a really good resource, a really good book for my students to read. I think when I read it, I envisioned 3 things, and we made that come alive in the class as well. I think the first one is to talk more about and provoke thoughts around gender equality, because the book is specifically about girls, and many times in careers that are traditionally associated with men. So to provoke that. I think the second one being diversity of career options. And again, the book is made for that. It's talking about 15 career options, which are just not usual at all. And the third one being, I think the concept of grit. So none of the protagonists in the book have had it easy getting to where they are. And so to teach that to our students as well.
So hello, my name is Huma. I'm from 10th grade. It was really good experience because when I read the first chapter, I understood that it is a perfect book for me. I really think of career opportunities in my life, but when I read the book, I get ideas of different opportunities that I could get of. So the first chapter is about Neha Pardeshi, who was a rugby captain. From which I get little bit of experience about and ideas about what could be done throughout in future.
Our literacy classes, which is where we used it for the most part, typically are what we call balanced literacy. So there's a component of reading, writing, thinking and sharing in each class. And so I think the book just was a very valuable, very usable resource right from day one. So I remember reading the first story and these 3 ideas standing out to me very clearly. The first story is Neha's, who's the captain of the Indian rugby team. And so rugby is not a sport that you associate with girls, right? Stereotypically, never, I would say, in India, right? And so that, I think, provoked a lot of conversation around strength and why are sports even, forget about certain sports, so only male dominated, and so that provoked very good conversation. And the second one being diversity of career, right? And so the students we work with typically don't have the social capital almost to dream of careers which are different from mainstream careers. And the conversation at their houses are not ones which are which provoke thinking about what is truly my ability, truly my passion, and then how am I going to combine this to make a career option. So we have a 4-point student vision at iTeach, and one of them is to be informed about your ability, passion and career options. And so this book really fit in well there. And so continuing the example of Neha, I think she found out early on that she loved sports and she wanted to build a career in it. And then tried a few different ones till she arrived at rugby and made a career in it, which I think is incredible, and it tells a really powerful story. And grit, I mean, again, if you just read the story, you will know whether it's her recovering from injuries to fighting off discrimination, to fighting off favoritism, to even the fact that she never got paid for rugby. Even now, I think she still does a job in the day and then coaches and plays rugby professionally. So it tells you what it takes to achieve excellence in your field of choice. And so these three ideas stood out to me when I read the book and was able to, we could clearly have those discussions in class a lot.
I want to become a general physician and homeopath. I had a great dream to become that. I'm still trying to learn different things what should be needed for that like general physician. And I got inspired by my friend's father who too was a general physician. I really get inspired by the chapter 2 which was about neurosurgeon, because it was also related to medicals, so that I could also get experience about what is medicals and what we have to do towards getting like to be a doctor. Like she was also a doctor. Her story, I didn't know how much of her name, but she had struggled means a lot in her life. Not only she studied, but also she had interest in extracurricular activities. So that inspired me not to just do academics, but also to take part in various extracurriculars.
So as an example, what we would do is, let's just take the first lesson again, or the first chapter again, is I would typically give the book as a pre-read, the chapter as a pre-read to students, so they would breeze through it once before coming in. They would walk in and there'd be a section on discussion, and so there'd be a few provocative questions for them to think about, and there'd be discussions around that, group discussions. That would also help with debriefing what they had read. Then it would be followed by a worksheet where they would answer some level of factual questions, just so that I can make sure that they're actually with the story. And then some level of inference-based questions, and some level of personal opinion-based questions. I think the factual inference-based are very aligned to what we do in exams, So it's part of exam prep as well, or curriculum as such. But the personal opinion questions, I think the book lent itself very well to. So, for example, if you think about one where she becomes the CEO of a gym, I can't remember her name, but in Surat, and so her story is one where she saw a lot of failure early on, and a lot of she didn't reach the place where she was traditionally at all. She was into drugs abuse, and she was into bunked all of her classes, didn't know what she was doing, why she was doing it, all sorts of stuff that we tell our kids to stay away from. But she went through that, and then once she found what she wanted to do, she excelled at it, right? And so I thought that was a very powerful topic for students to give personal opinions on, and it also helped. So I remember the exact class, because I think the class was around what are the experiences that shaped these girls to figure out what they wanted to do and find their calling in life. And then the students had to compare their own experiences and say, what have your experiences been so far? What are your reflections on them? So that you can figure out what you want, what is your calling in life, right? So that, so I think it lent itself very well to that personal opinion type of deal. And then we would typically write essays on it, I think was kind of the third component. So we wrote on what do we see are the problems in India if only 1% of the female population plays organized sport, right? Or what do we see are the problems if there are practically like 100 neurosurgeons, female neurosurgeons in India, right? And what does that tell us about the country, and what are the problems associated with that? So we write an essay piece. And then the final component, I think the fourth component would be we try to get in some of these people into class. So we only managed to get one. But ideally, we should have gotten more, and so we'll do that more this year. But we got Neha Pardeshi into class for a 90-minute session with our girls, with our class, and I think that was really powerful for them to ask all sorts of questions to her, and it was powerful for her as well. So that was just a really good space. So read the story, have a group discussion about parts of it, write about it in a question answer form, and then also write an essay about it, and then go meet the person who had it. I would say that's typically how a class would go.
Hello, my name is Kirtika Joshi from 10th standard. I am discipline captain of the school. Overall, I like the book because it is the first book I have read which gives me the inspiration. The story which I love the most was the CEO, that Nilparna Sen. Just because every time in my life everyone says when you went to the wrong path you can't come back, but that girl done that and come to the way of right path and done the best job. Because of that story really inspires me that if you went to the wrong path you can come back. It was a brilliant experience for me to when something has been being wrong with me, I can do and I can jump it over and do something right for me and for my future.
I think what you need to do as a teacher is technically very similar to what you would do no matter what the text was. So even if I was teaching Kim by Rudyard Kipling, I would probably go through the same level of planning and things like that. So it's not very different, I would say. But really and so in terms of steps of what you would do, I think is A, figure out what is the objective, what are the messages that you want the student to leave with, and B is figuring out like the lesson plan or the unit plan for like a 6 to 8 week period, which drives those essential questions. And so at a daily level, like what are the worksheets that they have? So the worksheet is not the intelligence comes in what are the questions you're asking, right? What project work can you give aligned to it? So for example, one project that we gave, they had a Christmas break, like week-long Christmas break, and so one of the projects we gave was to read Shiloh Shiv Suleiman's story, go watch her TED talk, and then the project report that was due was what is the influence of art, what is the use of art in today's society, and it struck so many different messages because some of our students still think that arts is not useful, or what is the point of me doing this, compared to more technical work. And so it struck many different things as arts as a tool for social change, art as a tool for sharing and raising your voice. And so it's trying to figure out what are the objectives and what are the questions to facilitate it. Unit planning and lesson planning is something we do for any resource material that you might have, any text that you might have. So it's similar to that. As a component so think about it, we have 3 years with them, 8th, 9th and 10th, right? So they only have 12 units there. So as one of the 12 units that they study, 100%, like it's super effective, right? So I think if I was to pick out the one impact that I would say was most powerful, and so what's unique about this as opposed to the other 11 units is the relatability of the whole thing, to say that, hey, I can relate to this person and how her mom or how her parents really said, why are you getting into sports when you could have done when you need to be studying, or the fact that even the other way, like they appreciated their parents more who pushed them to really achieve every day, because in the neurosurgeon story, in Vasundhara's story, they saw what happens when a mother holds high expectations right from day one, and then you can do this. So I think there were smaller shifts that you could see for sure, but as 1 out of 12 books that they might read in the 3 years, for sure it's a powerful unit to teach.
Hi, my name is Saurabh Nikam and I am from class 10 Dhun, and I am the prefect of my class. So from overall experience, I have studied a lot from different stories in these Wonder Girls books. I get inspired through all those girls who are struggling in their life and fought and struggled towards their success. It was so inspiration for me to do social works like them. They also do lots of work in their life. They have do hard work to achieve their goals in their life. So I can take inspiration throughout my life also from them, and can also achieve my goals in my future with the help of them, I can learn throughout this book that I can also do things which are different from others, and everyone can love it. So it was my great experience from this book.
Anybody comes and tells me that it's only for the girls, I think that's complete nonsense. Well, like I said, right, there are three things that appeal to me. One was the gender diversity, one was the grit, and one is the diversity in careers. So grit and diversity in career applies to everyone in the world more than any time in history. It applies right now for everyone, given the amount of choice, confusion, FOMO that all our Gen Z people are facing. So two of those three apply directly, and the gender diversity stuff, oh God, it's so important. Like I would almost take a step saying it's more important for boys, because the world's not going to change only by building stronger women. I think it's also going to change equally by building more empathetic guys. What would be different at your houses if your mother every evening stepped out to play a sport? Just to imagine that for them, there were like what we call chamka moments, right? Something just like a light bulb went off in their head saying, oh wow, I've never even thought that my mom might want to play a sport every day, right? And then the answers they came up with saying, I think she'd have much less dependence on the family, much less dependence on my father if she had a social group outside. Forget about financial or any of that, but a social group outside that she was part of. It would make her happier on a daily basis. And so I think it's a brilliant provocation to have for the guys as well. There's just no doubt about that. For any school leaders or teachers who are considering picking up Wonder Girls as a part of their curriculum, I think what also really worked for us is the literacy level is pegged at like a grade 5, grade 6. So the FKL level, so as to say, is at a grade 5, 6, which I think is very good because you can use it to differentiate. So what happens is you can cater to all students in your class. So I thought that was really powerful. The second thing is that there are many resources available connected to it, which make it very helpful to teach as well. So Neha Pardeshi, for example, is all over the internet now, whether it's her TEDx talk or other interviews and stuff like that she's done. So I think there's a lot of that as well, just material available to teach. And thirdly, from the career lens, I think it's just so powerful because, again, pilots and rock climbers and musicians and filmmakers are not typically there in conversations right now. And so it's really powerful in the career sense of it as well. So I would highly recommend doing it. The only other thing I would add is classroom is only one way to do it. Two examples that we have from iTeach already are, one, some people leading a group of our alum to read it as material just for group discussions, like a monthly group discussion circle. Some of them want to use it in what we call advisories. So weekly when they meet in their advisory group, and you can look this up online what an advisory is, but as material to read it there. And some people are also using it in conjunction with history. So our history teacher at one of our schools in grade 9 was teaching women empowerment in India over the last 100 years. And so he found Wonder Girls as a really good text to complement the textbook with respect to women empowerment. So there are many other ways to use it as well in school. And two other ways that we're going to use it is it's part of our library collection now. So it may not be intentionally pushed by the school at all. Students will just pick it up to read. So I think it's an essential library book to have. And lastly, we're considering we've decided to give it as a graduation gift to all our graduating students this year, which will happen at the end of this month. And so I think there are many other ways, 5 I just described, there are many other ways to leverage the book apart from direct classroom instruction.